Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Blacktown Premier League podcast. My name is Mark DePoli. Thanks so much for being here. There are some match of the round games that are going to prove to be real blockbusters this weekend, but before we do any of that, 47 likes? 47 likes on last week's episode? Can't thank you enough. Here's what's happening in this week's ep. Sorry if you could hear those birds chirping. I've shut my window now.
The last couple of weeks have been a really good learning curve for us, is sort of learning, the ins and outs of how we play.
Till I get to 28. So once I hit 28, might die off after that.
I wasn't expecting that, definitely. I was just asked to rebuild the team.
Premier League 2 promotion favourites Ponia are back in action this weekend against Parkley. We get to see them for the first time this year, and as well, Quakers Juniors in the WPL are taking on the defending champions Holroyd in what could prove to be something of an upset. Their off-season rebuild has truly hit its lengthiest stride, though, those in the Quakers Juniors colours. So, we'll find out why that is. But before that, cue the intro music. 47 likes. That's a number too shy of Bayer Leverkusen's record of undefeated matches after their most recent improbable comeback victory this morning against Roma in the Europa League, breaking Eusebio Benfica's 48-game unbeaten record in the post-war era. Pretty impressive. So, can we hit 49 likes like Bayer Leverkusen? I'm not sure. Either way, very grateful. I had the pleasure of watching Pons v Dooney at Glendinning live without commentating for once, and it was great to see such a good game. Ethan Eichen went off injured early in that one, before Jake Taylor then forced one of the best saves I've ever seen out of Aiden Mantaroglu, who picked it out right from the top 90, which was very, very impressive. They kept it at 0-0, but eventually a Tony Galliini injury as well. He was forced off, and then the front three of Blake Skur and Curry and Fardod Sanjakani got on the score sheet 3-0 in a resoundingly important victory for Pons on the road. Dooney's first loss of the year. Ahmed scored for Ropes as they picked up a crucial 2-0 win over Prospect, while Workers have bounced back and they beat Creek 4-2. Now to the PL2, Glenwood beat St Pat's 1-0, which puts them up to second on the ladder. Newbury beat Oakville 7-3. Yes, 7-3 in one of the strangest scorelines I've seen in my time here. Ponia put 6 unanswered on Rudy Hill as Town Rangers beat Parkley 3-2. In the WPL, Marion got a first 3-point haul of the season after a 3-0 victory against fellow Blacktown team Quakers Tigers. Parkley got tied up 2-2 by Castle Hill in a result they would have wanted more from, as Quakers Hill Juniors eased past the Bears of Winston Hills 2-0. Right. It's finally time to chat to Parkley. This episode is titled all around Parkley's rebuild, the hamstrings of Ponia, and the resurgence of Quakers Hill Juniors. So the first of those three is going to be Parkley. Let's go chat to them now. Jordy, my friend, welcome back to the Blacktown Premier League podcast. I can see strategically position yourself with some winners' plaques in the background, as you so deservedly should show off. Mate, it's great to have you back. How are you finding, if you don't mind me asking, how are you finding the reset? A new year, a new environment. What's the mood like around with the boys at the moment?
Yeah, I think things are good. We're still a pretty young squad at heart. Some of the same old faces still around, myself included. No, things are good. We pretty much just turned up this year looking to just improve and just to be the best possible versions of ourselves. So that's what we set out to do.
Fantastic. Like, it is still so early in the season, but with the smaller of teams in the comp, everything changes so dramatically week on week. Like, you guys started on top. We're now a couple of games after that, and there's teams below you there's a team below you who were in the grand final last year, and I wouldn't look at them necessarily and say that they're a team who will finish there. Like, the table with, I would say, probably a top 6. When top 4 makes finals, it is so very interesting. Like, both leagues have been so dramatic. So look, the games against the other really strong teams have been, with between 1 or 2 goals. It's been very small margins. So if you don't mind me saying, if Parkley haven't quite found their groove exactly yet, because I still think you guys have room to improve, do you agree that we're still yet to see the best of you guys? And when can we sort of expect to see you peak?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think to be honest, I don't think any team would be peaking now. I'd like to think that no team would want to be peaking now. Um, the last couple of weeks have been a really good learning curve for us, is sort of learning, the ins and outs of how we play. But I think that just goes out to the rest of the competition that, any team that turns up will play. And I think this competition is really, really tough, and that anyone can beat anyone on the day. So yeah, it can really go either way. So it's exciting to be a part of, and yeah, we just want to keep turning up and just working.
The one thing that I really liked about the PL2 this year, at least from a sort of eye test preview point, was that there wasn't a team that looked like they were going to be standing out. Speaking of which, you faced Ponia this week, and they've had one loss only this year. I wonder who that could have been against. First round on the synthetic at BFP, so we're running it back exactly the same venue this weekend. You took the lead 3 times in that game against them, finally holding on to 3-2 at the end. But they are looking pretty strong. They have improved since then. So, what do you remember about that first game of the season? And like, how interesting has it been since they've just taken off since?
Well, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I was at a wedding, so my anxiety was through the roof, just trying to keep up with the scores. Um, yeah, no, I got to give credit to Polonia, of course. They're solid side. They've been getting the results they need, and I think it'll be a really good game. So I'm really looking forward to playing against them. I know the boys are, so yeah, it should be good.
You would have come up against some of those guys in years gone by, though. So,
Yeah,
I mean, we're about to meet. We're about to chat to like Lockie Nixon and the Cullen boys, and Kuba and all them. So you know what they're like as players, and them being in PL2 is really interesting. Perhaps it doesn't fit, to be perfectly honest. So, what do you know about experiences against those guys? Maybe let's call it Pons in years gone by, and how has it been?
it's a tough question. Obviously we've come up against them over the years. They're tough opponents. So we pretty much just need to turn up, be ready, and just play the game. I think we'll be able to put on a great game, and we'll compete nice and fairly and have a good crack.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the last time Parkley played at that venue at BFP, you guys scored 5 goals in a 5-0 win. So, I mean, history serves you right as a good venue to go. So look, I'd love to hear from you because I sort of have my own sort of look at this in terms of a project. Do the boys expect to be going up this year, or is it realistically more of a project? And if that's the case, what stage are we at in that project?
That's another good question. You could call it a project, to be honest. Like we're pretty much just, there's not many expectations, to be honest. Like we pretty much we just set out to just commit, turn up to training, and just work hard for each other, and really learn from the losses, and just keep moving forward. And so far we've been doing that pretty well, and yeah, I'm really excited to see how the rest of the year turns out. So it's still an exciting project to be a part of course. And yeah, I think we're going to do really good in the years to come as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick one to add on top. Is it still a goal to sort of make the finals and at least have, a push, perhaps make it there to grand final day? I mean, that's
Oh, of course,
itself. Yep.
definitely. Well, of course we want to be up there as well, but yeah, we'll take it week by week.
Yeah, for sure. So look, last question is about the change of coach. We've seen that old guard move out, and it was great to have them and what they achieved over the years. Brad Madana has stepped into that role. He's something of a cult hero around the Park League parts, but the whole Premier League knows him as one of the great guys. So, what's his transition like been as he's gone into coaching, and what are some of his teachings? What have you learned?
Brad has a very strict way with the way we play. So we work very hard to try and play our football, play our identity, and for the times it's worked. So we pretty much just try and set out, do what we need to do, stick to our game plan, and yeah, to be honest, it's been good. It's been pretty good to have just a different sort of regime, I guess you could say, and yeah, change is always good. So it's always just about how you adapt to it.
Absolutely. And you are right in saying that Parkley are a pretty young crop who have got some of their own club juniors coming through. And I think that's a really fantastic thing. And from a personal perspective, I think that's the right way to do it. If there was a right way to do it, it's to do it with your own. So really, really impressive stuff. Fantastic to chat to you again, Jordy. Like it's always a pleasure to speak to one of the good guys out there. And there are so many good guys. So for you to be a front runner is amazing. You're a great guy. Thanks for fronting the cameras once again. And best of luck this Saturday.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Mark, and good luck to Ponia.
Love Jordy, looking very top gun in that interview for sure. The PL 1 and 2, as well as the WPL to be fair, have about 5 or 6 contending teams who each could probably say that they are on course for a title if they can really pull their socks up. If not, the top 4 race is going to be extremely, extremely exciting in all 3 of those competitions that we cover here on the Blacktown Premier League podcast. So, I can't wait to see how this season unfolds. Well, only one team's beat Ponia, and that is Parklea. Let's go ask Ponia exactly why that happened. High Flyers Ponia join us again on the podcast this week. I'm joined by 2 icons of the Blacktown Premier League comp, a grand final goal scorer and a match of the round record holder, Jacob and Lockie. Lockie, 8 goals in your last 2 games. Some people might say you don't belong in this league. You're a record holder now in match of the rounds with a 5-goal haul in that game versus Newbury, and I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that everyone took notice of that. So, look, apparently the record is 27, according to the person who holds it, which is a guy called Byron from Tigers 2 years ago. How long can you keep up this crazy record that you got going?
Till I get to 28. So once I hit 28, might die off after that. I'm coming for that record.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. That's probably one of the best answers we've ever had. Jacob, my friend, look, what's been happening with you and your brother and the Moiser hamstrings this year? Because, look, I know we've spoken about this off camera, but I had it down here to ask as well. I think you guys have done a combined 3 hamstring tears or pulls, whatever it is. So what's going on there, man?
Yeah, spot on. My brother started it in preseason, did one of his hammies. Then first game, round 1 against Parklea, I did my hammy doing a back heel at centre back. I don't know. That was probably the mistake in itself. So I didn't even last the half. And then in training, then my dad, same thing, his hammy. And then my brother and I returned on the same game, and then my brother did his other hamstring. So the genetics aren't too good for the hamstrings in our family.
Unbelievable. Okay, let's actually talk some football now, and let's talk about that most recent match of the round. Look, Lockie, I've seen you in midfield. I've seen you play in defence. You as a 9, that's new for me. And to be perfectly honest, I don't mean to blow too much smoke, but that's the best and most clinical finishing I've seen in match of the round games. So did it feel like in that game versus Newbury that you just couldn't do anything wrong? Did everything just come off the boot perfect that day?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't feel like I had the best game like on a personal level, but obviously like my shooting felt pretty good. Scored 5 goals and yeah. So
look, Jacob, I know you guys all sort of rejoined Ponia, and I can only assume the intention is going back up to the top division. I don't want to get too far-fetched, but I'm here to ask the question. So, once you do, if and when you do get back to the top division, have you guys discussed what the plan is from there and what Ponia want to achieve, or are you sort of taking this one step at a time first?
Definitely one step at a time first. I think last year that may have been the mistake where our focus was just when do we get into Prem 1. Mm-hmm. So I think last year we were definitely overconfident, and then that was just, I guess, our downfall. This week we're taking every game as it comes, obviously with a pretty much a completely new squad in Resis, and then a few new faces, obviously Lockie in first grade. I think it's gonna it makes it easier for us, but yeah, it's not done. We're not thinking about next year until next year. So until that promotion, we've gained the promotion, then we'll worry about next year.
Lockie, you're one of the only teams that sort of employ a strike partnership, at least from the game that I watch. It's you and Aladabaya up top, and both of you guys have scored some crazy amounts of goals so far. So, what's it like working with Emmanuel, and are you guys racing for the golden boot at this point?
Nothing that we've discussed yet, but we're both hungry for goals, and yeah, it's easy playing with him. On the weekend, he'd done a lot of the work and just passed me the ball. I just put it in the back of the net. So I got a lot of my goals come through him and vice versa, so it works out well.
Yeah, really good. Just one more for you as well. So you've come obviously most recently from that pond system. You've played against Parkley in years gone by, and I did actually ask Parkley this question as well when I spoke to them prior to this. So you know a lot of those boys and how they set up, and you know obviously where they finished last year, and now you're playing them again in the PL2. So what do you sort of recall from years of playing against the old Parkley, and what can you expect from them?
Yeah, like they'll get up for it. They're always up for the challenge, so they're always a good team to verse. And like for me, my junior club, so I love versing them. So it gets me up for the game always. And yeah, but no, they're a good team, and it's going to be a challenge regardless for us because, like I said, they get up for any game that I've ever played up against them. So I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah. And for you, Cooper, just to wrap it up, like, Parkley, you would have seen and been coming through at the time where Parkley were the dominant force in Blacktown football. And there's a lot of history there. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people watching along, whether it's online or in person, who have been there during the really, really, really good days of Parkley. So what do you sort of remember about, days playing against them? And are you expecting another tough battle like it was in round one?
For sure. Like you said, they're always up for it, and obviously them being the only team that beat us this year, I'm sure they're going to be doing the most to prove that it wasn't a fluke. Regarding the history, yeah, we did. I mean, I personally versed Parkley many times. I don't think when Parkley was in the comp, I don't remember them not being in the semi-finals. So they're always there. Yeah, they're definitely a very competitive club. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, great to see Ponia flying again, and it's safe to say with the first and reserve grade team being so good this year, probably the promotion hot shots at the moment. I guess we'll see this weekend, weather prevailing, if that continues on. Thanks so much for being on the podcast, and best of luck to you both and your team heading into this weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one.
With the champions outside the top four, Parkley going from second to second, Kellyville jumping from fourth to first, the WPL has been really interesting, but the most improved team is most certainly Quakers Hill Juniors. Time to find out why that is. What a turnaround it has been in a short space of time for Quakers Hill Juniors. After a season of promise in 2023, this year they're delivering on that potential. They've welcomed a familiar name into their ranks. They've got a new system that bloods youth into the first grade space over time, and they are third on the WPL ladder. Welcome to the podcast, Yesek and Captain Christine as well. Yesek, when the juniors called you to Quakers Park, are these the kind of results, the good results that you expected from day one, or has this team come together even quicker than what you expected it would?
I wasn't expecting that, definitely. I was just asked to rebuild the team, get a couple of new players, and build a new squad around the players that were there already last year. I knew that was going to be a slow process, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised that we already achieving some good results.
Absolutely. I'll go on. Yeah, one more thing to say.
Yeah. Obviously we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. It has only been 4 games. There's still plenty of games to come. A lot of tough teams to face. So we're just working hard at training, trying to instill our tactics and formations, and hopefully it will pay off sooner rather than later.
Yep, certainly. Christine, it's great to have you on the podcast, by the way. Thanks for making your debut. I've had the pleasure of watching one game this year, which is from the sidelines of that match of the round game earlier on. And I've kept an eye on the fact that you've fronted the media duties this year. You're all over the photos, and now you're doing this today as well. So tell me, what's your role in this team, and are you enjoying the extra responsibility that you've got?
Well, my role in the team, I'm captain. First time being captain as well. I'm loving the responsibility. Yeah, it's fantastic. The girls make it easy as well. They turn up, they're enthusiastic, they're determined. We all fight for each other, we all back each other, and we're also supportive of each other. And yeah, it just really makes my job as captain that's so much easier as well. So yeah, I'm loving my role as captain, but yeah, I'm also their friend. I'm not just that. I'm on the same level as them, and I love it. I love this team. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's from sort of my eye test. It's interesting because there are a lot of young players. There are some junior Quakers Hill juniors players there who have probably got expectations around what their loyalty deserves, this, that, and the other. And it's an interesting squad dynamic to manage. Of course, a lot of new players in as well who might be coming from the NPL world, which we'll discuss in just a sec. So for you to be able to manage that and to be managing it already is very, very impressive. Yesek, I come back to you. It has travelled in whispers that a decent chunk of this team has sort of followed you from the NPL world. I don't know if that's true 100%, but we're here to sort of find that out. But in saying that, the likes of, Marion, who was so influential last year, Leah, Abby, Ella, Maddie, or Hollywood, if you might call her that. So they've all remained in the squad so far. So can you explain to us how that younger 21s, I think, team that it is, how does that work? How are you sort of mixing those two players in, and what's the plan going forward with that?
Well, the idea is for under 21s to obviously be the future of our first grade in the next couple of seasons. So we're trying to combine sessions wherever we can. We're also asking a couple of players that are training hard during the week and standouts during the week training for 21s and on their games to play up for us as well. And as recently as last week, a couple of them played for us. One of them, Jenna, has probably played about 60 minutes, and she did really well. So this is how we're trying to introduce them to first grade, to a tough physical environment. And the girls that have played for us have been doing it pretty well. And the future. In the 21s, the 21s are the future of the club. I'm sure that a lot of the players that are in the first grade now will be there for the years to come. But you always need to, introduce new players to the team, to the squad, so everyone knows that there's a competitiveness there, and every position is. We have a backup for every position, so the competitiveness stays there.
Certainly. Now, Christine, Yesek has mentioned about not sort of getting too far ahead of yourselves just yet. Of course, we're only a couple of games into the season. But I can never get away from asking people this question the first time they debut on the podcast. So I feel like it has to be done. But I will try and frame it to be a bit more difficult for you. So considering that the great start to the season has rendered you guys in the position that it has so far high up, what do you think? What do you maybe perhaps want the bare minimum to be achieved this year? Is it a league position? Is it we want to finish inside the finals? What is the absolute sort of least you want to achieve? And how far can this squad really go?
Okay, good question. I think we want to improve from last year. I think they finished 6th last year, so above 6th would be great. But yeah, look, we are looking to make the finals, just like every other team. Yeah, look, so far we're doing really well. Even though we did lose our first game, that didn't dishearten us. Actually, that made us even stronger. That made us want to fight more and play harder as a team. And yeah, we've got that fight in us, so we're ready for it. Yeah.
Fantastic. There were some days where Quakers were turned over pretty badly once that sort of switch flipped off when the game sort of came out of reach. I remember one match of the round, it just went really quite pear-shaped quite late on. The fact that Kellyville, who are looking like probably the best team this year already with their pretty perfect starts to the year, the fact that was such an entertaining, high-scoring game shows that you guys are competitive, and I think that's something to be proud of already. But just keeping it under the lid would be the challenge for you guys. Yesek and Christine, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast later on.
Always, Mike.
Enjoy your training session, and I will see you on Sunday.
Thank you.
Great to finally get to meet Yesek and the Quakers juniors girls. I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far, so let's see that continue this weekend. Now, to the fixtures. As you will know, the match of the round is at 7 p.m. on Blacktown Football Park, weather prevailing. Glenwood take on Town Rangers. 2nd v 3rd. Rudy Hill take on Newbury. And a hugely important one between St Pat's and Oakville. Oakville really need to find a win. Rivo and Workers could prove to be a high-scoring fun game, certainly. Ropes got the better of Ponds last year due to an Ahmed Bedat hat-trick. They play again this weekend, and this is a much better Ponds team, arguably. Tigers take on Eastern Creek for the first time in 18 months. Marion hosts Quakers Juniors as Dooney take on Prospect. To the WPL now, Marion and Parkley take on each other, as Quakers, as you know, have the defending champions Holroyd. Tigers go to Kellyville in what is a tough ask, but hey, you got to play the tough games to learn from them. And that is going to do it for our fixtures this weekend. So, episode 9, already episode 9, we're 1 away from 10, that's how it works, 9 is closest to 10. And so thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed what you have seen today, please be sure to leave a like on the episode. We're looking for the first ever 50 like haul in the history of Match of the Round, pre-Match of the Round, Premier League, Blacktown podcast, Blacktown Football Hour, whatever you'd like to call it. We're looking to smash records week on week now. I'd love to see you all at 7 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday respectively, but if you can't make it, of course, you can tune into the live stream and listen to this not-so-beautiful voice. Thanks very much to everyone who featured on this episode today as well. I think it was a really inspiring and insightful one, and some funny ones in there too. Can Lockie Nixon break the PL2 goal-scoring record? Can the Hamstrings of the Moiser boys not be cheesy? Can we reach 50 likes? I'm not sure. But until then, cue the outro music.